Okay, so 2005 GTO T56, bought as a core that came in a box of parts. So not sure if everything is here. There was a hole in that box there. It was pretty much like you see it here, disassembled. I've got it all laid out neatly. The main shaft had third gear was on it, and the fifth gear was on that shaft as well, and the reverse idler was still bolted in, and they bolted the case just back together empty with nothing else in it and shoved the main shaft in it. That was it. Everything else is just a box of parts. I'm surprised that actually as much of it is actually here. I don't see anything missing except for maybe a few circlips and spacers, and the skip shift lever, which should be in this group of parts, is missing. Was going to put it there, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It's not around. So we got these two levers and the offset lever from a GTO, which I need to switch to a F body because it's a bit shorter. This one's pretty long. Then I can run an F body shifter, the shift guide plate and spring, detent ball, vehicle speed sensor, reverse. Allows you to go into reverse, and the skip shift solenoid, reverse inhibit solenoid, is what that's called. Slave cylinder, which is crap, but I mean whatever. Threw it in here. That's fine. I can use it to mock up. Cluster shaft looks good, and the reverse gear is here. One of them. There's three of them all together. There's that one, the actual reverse gear, and then this idler gear. They look okay. This shaft looks good. That's where fifth and sixth rides on. The dogs on some of these gears, you can see them, are rounded off instead of coming to a perfect point. You want them to look like a coffin from the top view. That's what prevents it from jumping out. That looks okay, but the points are rounded instead of being to a sharp angle, which will sometimes make it a little harder to get it into gear, or you'll get locked out and it'll take longer to make a shift. I can sharpen most of them up with a 3M cookie cutter, make them come to a point again. Same thing with the Synchronizer hubs, or sliders, I mean. And on the reverse gear, I can actually flip over the slider, I'm pretty sure. So we just need a new bearing kit, new bearings all the way around, and new synchros. So I'm impressed that I only paid $500 for it, and it's a rebuildable transmission, and there's no major damage. So I'm pretty happy about that. And fourth gear input shaft. This isn't great. The spot that rides on the pilot bearing here, that journal isn't perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to switch to a CTSV style or 04 Colorado bearing that slides onto here. So that's not going to be an issue. It's not going to ride inside a brass style pilot bearing anymore, or bushing. And main shaft looks good. There was some slight pitting on some of the journals. I polished it up a bit. I think it'll be fine. Reverse gear is a little bit pitted here where it rides on that journal, and the journal here for the roller bearing, this plastic one that goes in the rear case there. That had a little bit of pitting on it, but I think it'll be just fine. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shift forks, 2 shifter rails, and these shifter arms. Obviously, the center main case, mid plate, and the front bell housing for LS1 style motor, tail shaft assembly. This shifter from the GTO I'm not going to use, obviously. It sets it way back. It's got this offset here. I was hoping I'd be able to flip it around, but I can't. This gets in the way here. It's too tall right there. So a weird drive shaft that must be on the GTO. I've never seen that style of a yoke before, but that came with the transmission as well. I assume it's from a GTO. If somebody knows, they can let me know. It's really, really odd looking. No use for that. It's just going to go in the trash can if somebody wants it. Inner bearing races, oil distribution cup, and shim, and bearing race, vehicle speed sensor, reluctor. There's a pile of spacers. I might be missing a few of those. That's really only it. There's a few clips and some spacers. So I don't really know the triple cone T56s too well. I know the the F-body style ones, and I don't recall some of their spacers being on some of the gears. I don't know. To get somebody to help me with that. And this the driven gear here for 5 and 6. It looks mint. It looks like brand new. That's the main shaft end bearing or mid plate bearing. Now these for second gear, unfortunately, 1-2 slider, you can't get this outer ring anymore. It's stuck to that one, which is really kind of shitty. Tremec doesn't make it anymore. One of mine are okay shape, but it's got some burn. There's a burn mark right there in the inside of it, which isn't royal. And the other one, wherever it went to, it's also not too great. You can see some chips there. It's like the teeth disintegrated, or they're ramming the shift in, trying to really get it hard into first or second. There's some marks on there, which isn't great either. So that's really unfortunate. I don't know what to do about that. And second and third, this is second, it's pretty well rounded off, those points. It's hard to see, but I can probably sharpen those up for the amount of horsepower I'm going to be putting through here, and I'm not going to be racing it. And just bring them to a good point again. But if somebody really wanted to make this transmission absolutely mint, you'd want to replace the minimum second and third, probably 5 and 6. Reverse is pretty trash too, but it doesn't really matter. He must have had a clutch hanging up. That's what I would have. It wasn't fully disengaging, or didn't know how to shift a standard, or didn't put the clutch all the way down into the floor. Because I mean, why would reverse gear be all chewed up too? It's usually why those dogs get rounded off, is the synchros get burnt out, and that often happens when the clutch is hanging up and not fully disengaging. So, but yeah, that's all the pieces there, all laid out, big pile of bolts and the service manual. Now I gotta try and find another service manual. If somebody could help me out, that'd be great, because I only got one for the F body, and there's a lot of differences with the triple cone synchro ones, and especially I didn't take it apart myself, which really sucks, so I don't know whether everything is actually here, right? So when it comes to the spacers, etc., the reverse idler gear here assembly, it looks good. So I think I can get away with just the master rebuild kit and a few little clips or spacers and things that are missing. So I'm really happy. There's lots of little guck on the magnets, but no big pieces or chunks. And who knows, they might have cleaned that out anyways, but yeah, so that's that for the night. Oh, one other thing. I tried to use this whole stack of decent synchros I have left over from an F-body build, because it's and if you were to buy a new one, it's almost half the price of what a rebuild kit is worth for these triple cone style. And you absolutely cannot use these. Just to throw that into the window. The only one that works is the reverse. Okay, you can use that one, no problem. That looks like to me the Synchronizer Hub and slider is exactly the same from either the F-body, the GTO. So the outer side of these Synchronizer blocker rings look very similar, but when you look at the inside of them, it's just not going to happen. A couple like with 5th and 4th, there's a taper on here which is expecting to ride on the back side of the taper of the gear, similar to second gear here. See that machined surface, that tapered surface, that synchronizer, if it was the right size, would fit onto there. That's missing and not even there on the triple cone ones. It's all built into the actual triple cone. It's in a little lock gear which fits in to these tabs and notches in here, and that has a taper on it, and then they all fit in together, stack up with 3 pieces